Oh, welcome in, ladies and gentlemen. Armed American Radio's Daily Defense begins right now from the CZ studios. The Patriot Mobile communication microphone is fired up for you. Yes, indeed. Greg in Dallas, Texas, how you doing today, my brother?
Not too bad. Boy, we got here quick, didn't we?
Yeah, well, it always happens on a Monday, but it's
Yeah.
it's Andy Hooser Day today. We have a lot of really cool stuff to talk about. And yes, we're going to go there with Andy today, but you've got U.S. Congressman talking now that is just mind-blowing. Mm-hmm. Wait till you hear what Burchett had to say.
I like Burchett.
It's incredible. Did I pronounce his name wrong? Burchett?
I have
Burchett?
no idea.
I call him Burchett. I'll just call him
that. It might be Burchett.
Well, how about we call him Burchette? Call him Burchette? Let's call him Burchette. It's Andy Hooser, the voice of Liaison.
Bruschetta sandwich?
Burchette. We'll call him Burchette. No, I'll call him Burchette because that's what I call him. So,
all right.
He can call me and
correct us.
Yeah. Well, Austin Knudsen corrected me on air one time.
Yeah, I think I remember that. You were using
Knudsen. I said Knudsen. Yep. Yeah, and it's not his name, so you don't feel bad. Correct me.
Sometimes the K is not silent.
Right. But correct me. I mean, please. But yeah, there's some crazy stuff going on out there that's really off the chain. And we do want to talk. We're going to surprise Andy, I think, with our little chat about the FPC Freedom Rankings. I don't think he's aware of this. And we're going to give him the same quiz we gave to Neil McCabe last night. Just ask him. So we'll go there in just a couple minutes. Guys, if you want to watch the program, you can do so on Facebook.com/ArmedAmericanRadio, Facebook.com/ArmedAmericanRadio. And Greg, I'll let you do your ting. And then we'll go to Andy Hooser, the voice of reason, and get a little crazy and play some weird, X-Files music, because some wild conversation coming up.
Yeah, sure, absolutely. Well, other places to watch the show are going to be YouTube. Just do a search for Armed American Radio with Mark Walters. You can watch us over on X. We're at AAR Mark. You can head over to the website, armedamericanradio.org or .com. Hit that menu icon, then select your watch live or listen live option. Lastly, if you'd like to join our live chats, just download Telegram, create your profile, and search for Armed American Radio Conversations.
Oh, boy, that apple juice sure is cold.
Yeah, it is.
Whew. It gave me the shivers like it was bourbon or something like that. It's apple juice, though. Apple juice over ice. Andy Hooser, the voice of reason. Yeah, you believe that.
Apple juice.
Okay, Andy.
Apple juice.
I love my Mondays with Andy. Tell me the weather's crappy and you're loving it, man. We have a lot to cover.
It is. Well, I will just say I did walk outside for a minute. It is perfect right now. It is 45 degrees and sunny. It is so beautiful.
That's not too bad, actually.
No, it's actually perfect. Today is the perfect day. Right before we came on the air, I was finishing up my studio duties. I walked outside. We have a porch right here on the back deck, right outside the studio. I was sitting out there just enjoying the sun, trying to not glow in the dark anymore like I usually do here. So I was enjoying that before we jumped on the mic. So today's the perfect day. This weekend, it was 50 degrees and sunny. I got all my yard work outside done. I didn't have to worry about 90+ degree weather. So it's perfect right now. It should stay like this all year long.
Well,
right
I'll tell you how you get yard work done to do it the right way. My wife and I and my son, we took off somewhere. I had family in town all week. My brother-in-law, sister-in-law, and my nephew were here. And, they travel the country in a camper. They live a wild lifestyle, man. For like 7 months of the year, they live in a camper all over national parks. They've been doing it for years.
I love that idea.
It's kind of cool, but I couldn't do it. Maybe once, but not every year. But no, they had the camper parked out in front of the house. They show up about once a year on their trip, and then they're on their way home now. They stay in their cottage up in Pennsylvania for the next 6 months. But we took off, went somewhere, and when we came back, brother-in-law and sister-in-law and nephew had put all the mulch out for us, and that was a beautiful thing. So just bring family over, Andy.
That's right. Bring family
grill
over.
A few burgers, and they'll take care of the lawn work for you if you got a cool family.
That's it. No, I had no problem outside working in the yard this weekend because it wasn't 90 degrees. I mean, 40, 50 degrees. I still wore the T-shirt and the cutoff and the shorts and everything, and you get to enjoy, man. That's how you do it, and it needs to stay that way.
Got to write a song about that. That's how you do it.
That's how you do it.
That is how it's done. I guess, yeah, if you're going to do it, that's the way to do it if you're not paying somebody to do it. But so, Andy, do you know who Bob Lazar is?
Bob Lazar, yes, absolutely. He was a worker at Area 51 who identified a mineral that.
How did I know? Hold on. How did I know he would know that?
I mean, come on.
How did I know that he would know? This guy was
Bob Lazar.
Andy, were you even alive in 1989?
No, I was one. I was 1 year old. That's right.
Yeah, Bob Lazar got famous in 1989, and he's back in the news again this week, which is mind-boggling. Yeah. Why did he get famous in 89? I remember when he came out in 1989 and made some crazy, what we thought then were just crazy commentary that he had about what he had seen at Area 51. And you're right. He was the Area 51 deal. In fact, he claimed there was an area part of Area 51 that he claimed was called S4, if you recall.
Yes.
Do you recall that?
Yes, absolutely.
I love the fact that you know this stuff. I love this stuff. But he claimed that he worked at Area 51 and had actually been in an alien craft that was being reverse engineered by the U.S. military. And the technology on that craft was so incredible that it used gravitational something. We don't even know what to call it. It was so advanced. They said it was so far beyond us, we couldn't even understand it. But they began to figure out, because they had actually elevated. He was in it. It lifted off.
Yeah.
Now, this guy has passed every lie detector that's ever been given to him, and he has stuck to his story throughout the decades. And if you recall, he was interviewed by George Knapp many, many moons ago, the famed UFO, UAP reporter who has stuck to his guns over decades, Andy. And this guy is still talking about what happened in 1989. And guys, I want to tell you this. You can go to YouTube and watch this. The interviews with him are incredible. I remember I was fascinated by it in the 1980s, Andy. I thought it was fascinating. It's always fascinating.
That's awesome.
And he claims that they use a gravitational deal and that the craft actually has to turn up on its side and tilt with the belly of the craft facing the target it's approaching in order to take advantage of this gravitational deal that bends time and space. Now, if you fast forward to our fighter pilots in 2004 and on, the famous Tic Tac incident and everything off the coast of San Diego, the craft is doing that. It's tilting up as it's moving against the wind at high rates of speed with absolutely zero visible means of propulsion. These are U.S. military folks talking about this, ladies and gentlemen, on video. It's not wacko me and Andy Hoosier. And U.S. Congress is now involved, Andy, more so today than they were a month ago, with Anna Paulina Luna, our good friend, now asking or demanding 46 high-quality videos finally be released to the public. Andy, you're familiar with that, correct?
I am, absolutely.
Your thoughts on that before we move forward, because Burchett is out with something today that is mind-bending.
Yeah, well, it's exciting. Look, we've been saying it for a while that this time for disclosure of whatever you believe this disclosure may look like, whether it's ET, whether it's just advanced technology, whether it's the secret technology the government's been keeping from us, it's finally here. And this is coming at a rapid rate. You remember back when the early 2000s, the late 1990s, early 2000s, I mean, it was, it went from crazy train you were in the tinfoil hat to, a hearing that even led to 2 years before another hearing on this type of information. Now we're getting it weekly. The progression of this stuff is advancing at a very rapid rate, and that's so exciting. And Anna Paulina Luna, I can't quote exactly what she said because it's very explicit, but there's some crazy blankety blank stuff that you're going to see when this stuff actually gets released, and I can't wait to see what it is. I'm so excited for it. It's going to be great.
Apparently, the date for that release is the 13th or the 18th of this month. Correct me if I'm wrong. Are you aware of that date? I can't recall which one it is. I'll look for it during the break and see if I can find it.
Yeah, I don't know exactly the date, but I knew it was coming up soon in the next week or so. So I knew that it was right around the corner.
Okay, so Andy, I don't know. Greg, how much time do we have before we go to a break?
Come up on 30.
About 30 seconds. So, Andy, I'm going to take us to the break with this. When we come back, I'm going to take you to People Magazine. Remember People Magazine? I don't know if it's still a magazine or not. People Online, whatever it is. But Tim Burchett, Republican Representative Tim Burchett. I'm going to I'd love to talk with him about this because I'd love to pull it out of him. But some of what he had to say after a closed-door briefing with the DOJ on March 18th, just this year, just less than a month ago, Andy, is absolutely mind-boggling to hear this coming from a sitting rep. And we're hearing more and more and more of this every single day.
Right.
And what he says is, I think, probably the scariest commentary I've ever heard from a sitting rep. We'll be back with Andy Hoosier, the voice of reason, and some craziness right after this. Don't go away. It is crazy, but it's not. We'll be right back. Welcome back to the show. Indeed, Mark Walters filling your prescription for freedom on what is always a fun day, Mondays with Andy Hooser here in the CZ studios. Mark Walters in front of this powerful platinum microphone, Patriot Mobile, at the Patriot Mobile Command Center. And you just heard the NRA rejoin. We will be at the National Rifle Association in exactly 10 days, 10 days from today. Greg, I have a funny for you. I got an email today saying, here's your confirmation for your hotel. And then 2 minutes later, I got here's your cancellation for your confirmation at your hotel.
Awesome.
And I thought, why are they canceling my reservation 10 minutes after they just sent me the confirmation? We're looking forward to seeing you at a Hilton. So, of course, I have to waste my time and call. They go, oh, that's been going on with the NRA. They mistakenly made 2 reservations. I said, well, thanks for letting me know this. I said, I guess you've gotten a bunch of calls. He goes, yeah, we got them coming in all day long. So, anyway, we're good to rock and roll. So we will be there in 10 days, ladies and gentlemen, at the National Rifle Association Convention in Houston. We were going to be there anyway. Even if I had to sleep on a street corner, I'd have done it because I got to do it and meet my fans and have some fun and meet with all the cool folks at the NRA. But we will be there, nra.org/AAR, and join us, ladies and gentlemen. Won't you please do that? You can find them at AAR, armedamericanradio.com or .org. We got it covered. All of our great partners are there. Andy Hooser, voice of Liaison. Welcome back, my brother.
Yeah, buddy. Good times.
So let's go to Representative Tim Burchett here, and this was in People. And it is quite fascinating. Congressman claims if Americans saw, guys, this was April 2nd. This was 4 days ago. Andy, I'm holding up 4 fingers. 4 days ago, brother. Congressman claims if Americans saw alien reports he was shown, and I quote, this country would have come unglued. You'd be up at night.
Right.
So that begs the question, what did he see? And I want to see it.
Well, look, so there's a few different stories that are running. So that response actually came directly
despite saying off the cuff, do I think they're going to release whatever? Thinking on an issue that would come unglued. I think if the public would have heard all that I heard, they would demand answers.
Yeah. Well, look, Mark, I think we're getting close to that type of info coming out. And the prime example is this. Let's just take the story about the breeding program in general. Is, people that don't necessarily follow this stuff, have never heard about this kind of stuff, they see that and they have the red flag go up to say, well, that's some really crazy stuff. I can't believe that we're even having this conversation, that we've gotten to a point to not even talk about whether they're real or not, but the fact that there could be a hybrid program where the government's forcing them to try and be hybrids and try and produce with humans and so on and so forth. And, that's now the level of conversation we're having. For you and I, and maybe many of the listeners, now that we've talked about this for so long and had some fun with the conversation, it may not be as much of a shock and awe to us. So I think there's a level of, if we're aware that stuff is going on, we're not going to be shock and awed as much. I don't know that what they could have could really shock me to the core, because of what I already follow and what I do with my research and what I believe and disbelieve and what I hear from different communities that are involved in
30.
others that are completely against this or have no idea. Yeah, it could be a shock and awe moment to where they could be, pacing in their bedroom at night thinking about this stuff. At the end of the day, to me, it just kind of excites me.
Yeah, and you go back to Lazar, he drew for people on multiple occasions over the years exactly what he saw.
Yeah.
He said what level of this ship that he was on. Now, what's fascinating to me, and we will touch this on the when we come back, only because we have to. Trump has pledged to release UFO-related files when he's in office, and the U.S. Cybersecurity and Infrastructure Security Agency recently registered the domains aliens.gov and alien.gov, though neither are currently active right now. When asked about the websites and what they'll be used for, a White House spokesperson told People magazine, stay tuned. Armed American Radio's Daily Defense continues. Fascinating stuff. We'll be right back with Andy Hooser. Welcome back to the show. This is a Patriot Mobile phone. If you're watching on your devices, it's an Apple iPhone, but it's Patriot Mobile activated. You can do the same thing. Visit patriotmobile.com/AAR. We'll be spending some quality time with the fine folks over at Patriot Mobile at the National Rifle Association convention, because Patriot Mobile has a booth at the NRA convention. And those other three carriers that we don't like to mention by name, that would be AT&T, Verizon, and T-Mobile, yeah, they don't have booths at the National Rifle Association convention, but Patriot Mobile does, wears it on their sleeve, and proud to sign you up while you're there at the NRA convention. So we'll talk about that together when we're there, because make sure to come over and see me over on Media Row, 2A Voices at the National Rifle Association convention. It's patriotmobile.com/AAR. Take advantage of that, please. And all of our great partners, you can find them all at armedamericanradio.com. Andy Hooser, the voice of reason. I'm going to go back to this for ask you a quick question. But why would you, as we say south of the Mason-Dixon line, why do you reckon the White House has aliens.gov and alien.gov registered, bro? Or government agencies?
Getting ready for the big disclosure. Look, according to Pete Hegseth, which obviously they're very tied up with a conflict going on in Iran right now, they were actually asked a question, I want to say a week ago, about those domains, and they say that right now the Department of War or Department of Defense, DOD, whatever, is compiling a lot of this information that they've gathered in order to release and upload onto these domains to give us disclosure as well. So between these, the biggest challenge is going to be, like you said, a lot of this stuff where it's going to keep people up at night and it's fearful, whatever. They're going to fight to release any of this as much as they possibly can. And I was reading through some of the comments on your chat room, and I know a lot of people are saying, wait, it's a distraction because there's other things going on right now, and it's a great way to distract. It's it's such a wild world that we live in today, when the acceptance of ETs is not believed by the conspiracy theorists because, there's something else going on, but it was almost designed that way, right? I mean, this almost seems like if we're going to accept one of the biggest, in my opinion, why we talk about this, why it's so important, is if this is true, if technology's real, if the technology's real, if the extraterrestrial life or interdimensional, whatever is life, whatever you believe in here, if this stuff is real, it shakes up the everyday life of you and I. Like, it makes us realize really going to work 9 to 5, trying to just pay the bills and put the food on the table, is that really all that life has to offer when there's so much other stuff going on around us, that it would shake up that entire economic system, which is why they don't want this information coming out. And in my opinion, it sounds so easy. See if this I don't know, then again, us people demanding more. Is there, that's for a very long time, and you were told about it my way, like you said earlier, the technology of firearms, the technology helps ships find other channels. We have now grown where did this come from? In my environment, so for advanced ahead of the American technology. Able to put the pace back into so to speak, because I mean, now it's almost to the point of no return. They have to begin releasing information. We know they have it. We're just waiting for them to actually acknowledge that.
Well, even bigger to me, I think, is the fact that it is so mind-boggling that I'm not sure it will do the things you said it will do, because it's so hard for people to wrap their heads around something like this.
But it never used to be, though, Mark.
No, it didn't.
It never used to be. We go back to again, and I reference this all the time, the biblical times, when there were so many things that we couldn't explain, and visions that people had, and visitations that people had from angels, and all this other stuff, that they were trying to put this into perspective. I think this was a normal part of humanity, but then between creating this industrialized economic system, when we don't look up in the stars and we don't get bored. There was a psychologist that just said a few days ago that our brains need to be bored, to not watch TV, to not scroll through social media, to not be working constantly. We used to have hours on end after we found our food, we found our shelter, we found our water for the day, where we just laid around, took naps, and contemplated the world around us, and we were more in tune with things. Now, how many people literally go outside for an hour and actually look up at the stars, or just sit there and sun gaze for an hour a day? Like, very few people do that. I think this stuff's been going on for a really long time, but we have forgotten all about it. And now the reawakening of that stuff is kind of a shock and awe because we're not used to it.
Well, think about things in geologic time, okay? A year is a blink of an eye when you consider the universe in its total.
Right.
What I find fascinating about it is the level of arrogance of man that believes that we know everything. Example.
Right.
Oh, well, they couldn't do that because we can't do it. And because we can't do it, it would take them hundreds or thousands of years to get from point A to point B. Yeah, as you know physics.
Right.
Not as somebody that might be a billion years more advanced. And we don't know everything. And when you bring that down to the authority, where you've got politicians, the arrogance of politicians who, like Rhode Island, take it upon themselves to tell you that your guns are no longer grandfathered in because we said so. Off the chain, it really is.
We realize that this there's got to be some. A spiritual or a metaphysical or a religious aspect of the world trying to say, hey, something else needs our help and to guide us to get us back on track here. And as we're going down that road of progression is ironically the same time that more of this information's coming out. And I find that not coincidental, but purposeful on why we're seeing what we're seeing at this time.
Yeah, and where do you get your information, ladies and gentlemen? You're going to believe what the bunch of clowns over at ABC, NBC, so we can all CBS on the evening news are telling you? Human beings have never understood our place in the universe since the dawn of time, Andy. Since the dawn of time. Now, if you really want to get into it, let's get into the recent moonshot. I find it really interesting that NASA and everybody around them seems so excited to be going back to the moon. Excuse me, but weren't we there 50 years ago?
And why did it take us so long to get back?
I mean, for crying out loud, Richard Nixon talked to him on a dial phone at the White House, supposedly.
30.
And now we're fascinated we're going back? Why? Kind of old news, isn't it? Yeah, it's fascinating stuff. It really, truly is. When we come back, I'm going to blow your mind even more, Andy. The 2026 Firearms Policy Coalition State Freedom Index is out. And, well, I'm only going to tell you I'm going to give you a quiz, and Andy is you'll probably see him on camera. I'll keep him on camera so he doesn't cheat during the break because I don't want him to Google it if he hasn't already. I don't want him to do it. I want to catch you off guard with this one, Andy, okay? All right? And keep you off guard.
We'll do it.
Okay, we're going to keep Andy off guard. Don't cheat. Don't Google this.
20.
I trust you. I won't keep you on camera. When we come back, fun conversation continues on a Monday with the great Andy Hooser, KQAM, Wichita's Big Talker. We'll be right back with Andy. Don't go away. Indeed. Welcome back. I am holding up my attorneys on retainer card as I do in this segment every single day. Why? Because this card represents an attorney in my pocket. Because I carry a gun everywhere I go. And if I ever have to use that gun, I can promise you I'm going to want an attorney. And I have one. I have an entire team. I have an entire law firm whose only focus is keeping me out of trouble. And that's the Attorneys for Freedom Law Firm at attorneysonretainer.us. You too can do the same thing. And if you visit attorneysonretainer.us/AAR, or if you're so inclined, just visit Attorneys on Retainer and use the AAR promo code. You can do the same thing. If you do so, we're going to save you $25 on the sign-up, and it is $37 a month for an entire law firm, 4 of whom will be seated at your table if, God forbid, you have to go to trial. And the whole objective is, when you have an attorney, is to keep you from going to trial just through an investigation alone, because you're not entitled to an attorney by law unless you've been charged with a crime. Take advantage of this, ladies and gentlemen. Absolute no-brainer. They will be well represented at the NRA convention as well. Make sure to check them out. Bud's Gun Shop, blackoutcoffee.com. Greg, how many cups of Blackout coffee do you think I had today to start my day, Greg, in Dallas? Take a guess.
2, but probably the size of a pot.
No, just 2. Yeah, it was 2, but they were in the tumblers. But yeah, I had 2 cups today, which is that's usually my running total. 2 cups of Blackout coffee. Good, strong coffee, ladies and gentlemen. Good, strong, flavorful coffee. If you love that strong caffeine deal, they got that over there for you too, and all the flavored stuff. Blackoutcoffee.com. Support these businesses that support this program and keep us on the air every single day. It's tough out there right now, ladies and gentlemen. The firearms industry is hurting. So support the industry, support the program, and you can do both by supporting our great partners, and we appreciate it so much. ArmedAmericanRadio.com, ArmedAmericanRadio.com. Andy Hooser, the voice of reason, welcome back. Before I go to the FPC deal, I keep thinking about this stuff during the break. And I remember having a conversation with my grandmother years ago. She died when she was 96, God rest her soul, a number of years ago. I remember ghosts one time. And she said she did not. Jesus rose from the dead. After being crucified, you believe in the Holy Ghost, the Holy Spirit. You believe Jesus is seated at the right hand of the Father. You grew up Catholic. You believe that, but you don't believe? Now, guys, billions of people around the world just celebrated Easter this past weekend, myself included. I absolutely believe in my faith. We have the historical record. We know. Guys, you've got to open your brains here a little bit. How can you believe one thing and, well, you don't want to believe the other? That's on you, ladies and gentlemen. That's on you. Andy, did you want to comment on that before we move any further? Pretty profound stuff.
Because more people are asking these types of questions, more people are wanting to consider and wanting to look and see what's going on in the world. And I love that. That's why when I say I'm excited about this disclosure, even though some of it may not be the most appealing or the most positive or whatever, that disclosure, that knowing, that understanding what's going on is a good thing. And I'm excited to see that process unfold, because you're right. Like I've said before, I mean, I believe if you reread the Bible and all these different stories, that there is a deeper meaning behind a lot of it. Not to try and preach to anybody about faith. You can believe whatever you want to. I think probably my faith and my religious practice is vastly different than the majority of individuals, even though it's still based on that Christian faith. That, that if you change the terms angels and demons in the Bible and you change them to ETs, things make a lot of sense. Things make a lot of sense because, there's something else going on out there, and we're still, thousands of years, whether you believe we're only 6,000 year old as a society, as humanity, or 200,000, which, the number I lean more towards is about 250,000 to 300,000 years old, that we are still trying to figure out the world around us. And I believe God gave us the tools with art and science and, understanding cognitive thought process and so on and so forth to understand the world that he created. And we're still, all these years later, still trying to figure that out.
Well, Andy, you could put this in other terms as well, too. We see things in Earth terms. We see time in our terms. What is a year, right? One trip around the sun. Yeah. If it took 50 years as we know them in Earth time for the Earth to circumnavigate the sun, guys, we'd be lucky to live to 2. We see things in a dimension that we explain to ourselves. Andy,
Well,
there
and
were
when we see things not moving, I mean, when we see
Correct.
things not moving, doesn't mean that they are, because like you said, that time frame, our perception of time is so short that things could be moving at a vastly slower rate, but quickly in universal times. But for us, we don't notice it. So those types of changes, we don't have any grasp on whatsoever. Yeah.
Yeah, well, Civil War, talk to my kids about that all the time. I'm a huge Civil War buff, historian on Civil War, a number of individual battles. Love to study that stuff, have for many, many, many years. Fascinates me. Wasn't that long ago. My grandfather himself, was born in 1896. My grandpa, my mom's dad.
Wow.
Okay, so it wasn't that long ago, guys. Open your brains. Andy, there were 2 states that the FPC in the State Freedom Index ranked as Chad states, 100% free. 2 out of 50. Care to guess who those 2 states are?
I am going to
In terms of
guess-
firearms laws, of course.
Yeah, in terms of firearms laws, I'm going to guess. And boy, I don't know. Most states, I knew we were in the top 3, top 5. I did not really win. So I didn't want myself to play with an awesome state.
Yeah. Didn't rank it by 1 or 2 or anything like that, numerical order, but ranked it by percentage. The Chad states, 2 of them at 100%. And these are how free are the states with respect to the right to keep and bear arms. Kansas and New Hampshire ranked 100%. And, of course, you had the usual suspects that are the states of disaster. All of them are blue, controlled by Democrats, and those would be the 12 states in the District of Columbia, ladies and gentlemen, we're always talking about. We did mention this last night on the air. Then you have free-ish states, that 85 to 99%. Florida wasn't even in the free. Florida was in a state of confusion at 70 to 84% free. And that's, of course, following the passage of the Parkland bills and everything else, Andy. But congratulations to you in Kansas. FPC did an exhausting study on this. Took them a long time to do. Guys, I'm going to send you to fpcfreedomindex.org. Take a look at this, highlight your state, and when you do that, it will give you the criteria that they used. It's fpcfreedomindex.org. Go check it out. You'll find it quite fascinating. Andy, where can people watch you and listen to you in the next hour coming up at 6 minutes after the top of this hour?
Yeah. You bet, man. I appreciate it. Hooser-The.com. You can go and check out all the info there. We got a lot to talk about for sure with the current events. But, Mark, it's always fun for a Monday. We love you guys. Happy Monday. Enjoy the cooler springtime weather, and always enjoy the ET conversation on the show.
As long as it lasts, brother, and I enjoy it as well. Andy, thank you for a great Monday. As always, stay safe out there, ladies and gentlemen. Armed American Radio is going to get up and do it again tomorrow because they don't want us to. Stay safe. Carry your firearm everywhere. Put an attorney in your pocket. Join the NRA. Join the Second Amendment Foundation. Join the FPC. Join your states' rights organizations. You know what to do. Make sure to visit all of our great partners at armedamericanradio.com.org. Take your pick. We got them both covered for you. They make the show possible every single day. Need some pillows and some sheets? My Pillows got you covered. Guys, I love you. I'll see you on the radio tomorrow. Enjoy your day. Stay safe.